We are live. This is Travis from Carter Cow Capital, helping you fight for your help for your financial freedom throughout the forex market. This is another episode of Trade with Travis, episode 284. Hope everybody's doing very well. Thanks for being able to pop in for the people that are watching live, for the people that will be watching live, and everything else like that. I do appreciate everybody being able to pop in. Let's go ahead and go through the disclaimer, get that out the way, and then after that, we'll take a look at the charts. I'm not a CTA, so I'm not going to tell you whether to pass. Whether the buy or the sell. What I'm going to do is teach you education, and from the education, you can be able to make your own informed decision. And I understand that trading involves risk of being able to make money, also involves risk of being able to lose money. So please keep that in mind. And understand that past performance is not indicative of future results, which means that if you end up making money yesterday, it's not promised that you can end up making money today. Block, what's going on? Hope everything's going well with you. Um, Today's going to end up being a brief one. I'm going to end up taking a look at the charts very briefly to see what's going on. Hopefully, everybody end up having some good trading and yeah, trying to get ready for FOMC tomorrow. Um, Yesterday was a very light day in my mind, just how the market kind of moved a little bit. It wasn't necessarily the biggest pop or the biggest drop when it came down to movement. Aside from there were certain pairs like Australia and CAD ended up having a big jump when it came down to certain moves and everything else like that. And Euro United States dollar is moving steady. I guess that's the best way to be able to call it. But here we go. R1G Thunder, what's going on? Hope everything's going well with you as well. Here we go. So let's go ahead and take a look at what's going on with the charts. No, it's not on, not yet. Not yet. I'm trying to get myself situated. Just give me real quick. Um, so here we go. Bam, there we go. All right, there we go. Hope everybody's doing very well. Um, Good to be able to talk to everybody, obviously. Um, let's see. Yesterday, wasn't a lot of news to be able to pay attention to. So that means that there wasn't a lot of trades or anything else like that to be able to get into. But we ended up talking about Tuesday early yesterday, talking about all of the news that was going to end up happening. And that includes being able to have the Australian dollar interest rate decision actually end up moving up 0.25 basis points to 3.85. And then after that, being able to take a look at the Linden survey and everything else like that, kind of go from there. Today is all about the Australian dollar and New Zealand dollar when it comes down to unemployment rate and everything else like that, kind of a non-farm payroll when it comes down to those movements. So we particularly take a look at U.S. based pairs, but I will take a look at the Australian United States dollar and then kind of go from there and see how everything's kind of working because obviously we're seeing a shift globally on how the market's kind of moving. So it'll be something to be able to pay attention to. I'm going to go very briefly when it comes down to this news and then kind of go from there. From a weekly perspective, the dollar is somewhat bullish. It looks like it's showing signs of finding support. From there, take a look at what ended up happening yesterday. Yesterday was a upward movement, but we're still inside of consolidation. I talked about being able to not take a trade until the market ends up breaking out at 12,860 to the upside and 12,760 to the downside. So we're still kind of inside of that movement as well. So uh, until the market actually ends up breaking out, I'm not going to necessarily be too keen on being able to make a move. But that is what I am interested in once the market ends up breaking out of that overall area. Oil, oil still going to the downside. There's really no more trading at this particular point unless you end up catching the market at 82.50, and then after that start selling down. Remember, we looked at this being able to sell at the top, and then after that get out at the halfway point because the market has already done hit more than three times at the top and more than three times at the bottom. That has already happened, so that makes this one kind of slow and a position of not being interested in being able to make a trade on oil as of yet. So the U.S. Canadian dollar is off the table. Take a look at gold. Gold is still inside of consolidation. We talked about how having this market be able to break out of these two different areas, and then after that, kind of being able to make a move from there as well. Gold is has a resistance of. I'm going to change this color once we get done. 2012. So 2010 is the overall breakout point for us being able to buy. Placing that in as a let's see, I'm going to place that in as a blue point right here. Um, the selling number, the market ends up falling down when it comes down to this is more than likely 1975 to the downside. So market's still kind of in consolidation from there. Now, all of that makes sense when it comes down to U.S. base pairs because of FOMC. I think that this FOMC is probably going to be the most interesting one throughout the overall year. We're seeing that the Chinese yuan, Russia, and all these other countries are starting to be able to group together, and they're starting to be able to not use United States dollars. So um, I'm kind of interested in being able to see what Jerome is going to end up talking about. And remember, when Jerome Powell talks, the market moves. So I'm very much interested to be able to see what's going to end up happening tomorrow when it comes down to that movement. And remember, the day before a large uh, economic economic news standpoint thing that's going to end up coming out, you're not going to see not necessarily a lot of movement, but you will see that there will be some setups that will end up being created that you have to be able to pay attention to. Now, one of those setups, and I think one of those things that's really going to be affected tomorrow will end up being Bitcoin. I think that there will end up being a pop in some direction or whatever may end up being the case. I personally believe that ultimately, uh, I think what will happen is that the news will end up being somewhat good for the United States dollar, at least at first, and then after that, we'll see what happens. What I mean is this: the market has already done fail inside of this consolidation that we end up talking about from 25,000 all the way up to 29. And currently, right now, the market's at 28,000. Market has found support in certain areas, but 26.5 was the area where it has basically been the biggest support if the market does fall down again. So if that may end up happening, that may end up being a position where I may look to be able to start jumping back in or start being able to place in orders again, to being able to rebuy. And then after that, look for a category four or strategy four type of movement to the upside. Okay, so that's what I'm looking for currently right now. Once again, not a lot of movement to be able to pay attention to that much today when it comes down to U.S. based pairs. But I am interested in being able to see this thing kind of fall a little bit and kind of go from there. Block, I'm going to ask you for your opinion on this one. I know I know I'm kind of tasked with being able to talk about what I think is going on, but um, let me know what you think about what's going to end up happening with Bitcoin, at least from your standpoint. Place it inside of the comments. Um, but there we go. I'm going to get out for this one real quick. Let's go ahead and take a look at. I want to take a look at Australia, United States dollar, um, and kind of see how that market's been moving. Um, from the Aussie dollar standpoint, here's your weekly. Um, we can look at this in two different ways. We can look at this from a long-term standpoint and be able to say, okay, we believe that the Australian dollar is going to end up going bullish, so we'll make it. Uh, would make this overall field from 2020 be the area where we start looking at being able to place our fibs, or we can be a little bit more, or we can say that the United States dollar is still in control and look at it more to the downside. Historically, I would say that the United States dollar is typically in control when it comes down to what's happening between both of these pairs. So I'm gonna go and I'm gonna take a look at this from a bear standpoint first, and then see what's going on, and then after that, take a look at it from a bullish standpoint. From a bear standpoint, the market has went all the way up to the 618, has broken the counter trend line break to the downside, which means to me that the market keeps on falling. There's a D extension down at 52.47. Now, with recent history, that would also end up telling me that uh, we probably shouldn't be making a move off of this pair until we end up getting a clear direction, because from a weekly perspective, I still don't see a clear direction on what's going to end up happening with this movement. Because as much as I can be able to say that this market is going to end up moving to the downside and that's the overall move, I can say the same thing about it moving up to the upside and saying that it went and hit a 618 movement to the downside as well, saying that the market could pop up to 73. So I'm going to be honest with you. I don't like the chart um, because clearly there's no clear direction on what's happening with the overall movement. If we say that the movement is moving to the upside, then it's already done broke a A. We say that the market is moving to the downside, then we're saying that the market is um, it's kind of just making a move and it's just steadily moving to the downside. Block ends up saying, I'm looking at the charts, it's 50-50. Bitcoin and altcoins have been bouncing to macro trend lines. Believe next move will be a clear direction on a macro trend. Typically the summertime, typically May is the start of, that summer push. Now, that summer push is not as long as the first quarter push that you end up having early in January and kind of leading into what happens in the March. But I get what you're saying from that standpoint. I kind of believe that to be true as well. I think that right now being a breakout trader is probably the best thing to be able to do for anyone that's actually trying to be able to make some money, whether it's prop firms or anything else like that. If I'm being dishonest, but nah, I don't like the chart. I don't like what I see off of Australian United States dollar. There's no call that I can be able to make off of this one and say that there's a clear direction. So Australian United States dollar, I'm going to move away from that. Um, yeah, I'm going to move away from that. Just don't see it. Let's go. While we're at it, let's go pound yen. Pound yen. We talked about a trade yesterday for the people that was here with a D extension and a take profit. Oh, jeez, come on now. With a D extension was at 171.42. And being able to get out of that move yesterday or 2 days ago, the market ended up making a huge move from that Friday move to the upside, and then after that we had a little bit of a scalp. Um, I forgot who gave me this move, but that move is, um, in my mind, almost over with. There's a, I think okay, I remember. I think I used this as a no. We ended up getting this from one person who was just taking a look at it. I ended up saying, okay, what happens off the breakout? Then you end up trading off the breakout. The market ended up moving to the upside. From there, it's basically then retesting this overall area. Um, the market is still bullish, but I don't see a viable position to get in yet. Um, so I'm going to stay away from this one as well. Let's see. Take a look at NAS 100 and US 30. Okay, so US 30 market is still in consolidation. You look at it from an Ikimoku standpoint and a Fibonacci standpoint. Actually, it's showing bullish signs, but it's still inside of this long-term consolidation that ended up happening at the beginning of November. Yesterday, I ended up saying that I felt like the market was going to end up ultimately falling down, giving us an opportunity to be able to get in for the buy, but that did not happen as of yet. Market actually kept on pushing to the upside, and finally end up clearing out that D extension. Finally end up clearing out that position that we were looking at 34,250. So that trade that we end up doing at the beginning of the month, uh, where we end up saying that we wanted to get in at 33,600, and then I did get out at that position. That market has already, or that move is 100% fully over with. Um, I think the opportunity to be able to get into this move was based off of being able to get back in right here at this support line. But that had already happened a couple days ago. So we're just looking at counter trend line breaks. It ended up happening right here, but I didn't take any trades off of Dow Jones, so there's no trade to be able to take right now. That move is already over with. Now it's 100. We take a look at that move. Talked about being able to get in or get back in off of this move from a counter trend line break as well. I think Nas 100 was the trade that I was looking for a little bit more. I didn't like how stagnant it was at the 930 bell, so I didn't take a trade yesterday. And I kind of feel the same way right now. The market is showing signs that it could be able to move up to the upside. From a 1 hour perspective, it's in the no trade zone. From a counter trend line perspective, uh, you would have, if you want to feel comfortable about being able to take it, it would have to be being able to break up to the upside right here, based off of those two candlesticks. So I'm kind of iffy off of that one as well. Yeah, I'm kind of iffy off of that one as well. What's up, big dog? No, baby. No tablets in the morning. Um, so nothing as of yet. Now, it makes sense based off looking at what we're seeing about the United States dollar index. It's really nothing to be able to take care of. The question to everybody else before I get out of here: if there any pair that y'all want me to take a look at, is there a pair that y'all would like me to take a look at real quick? Because currently, right now, I don't see anything. Yeah, currently, right now, I'm not interested. Let's see. Can you take a look at DXY? You have time? Yeah. Let's take a look at that. Well, we kind of already took a look at U.S. dollar index, even though it's not. Well, not really. Let's take a look at it from this standpoint. Let's see. Let's go weekly. No, no worries. Um, okay, so market peaked up at 114. Since then, the market has slowly been retracing at this particular point. Once again, the question is, how are we going to view this? Are we viewing the market being bullish, or are we viewing the market as being bearish? From a weekly standpoint, over the course of the last uh, since August, the market has been moving to the downside. Um, but we still have a bullish overall trend. When taking a look at this movement, it's kind of like what you just said, Block. I said this. I said this at the beginning when taking a look at the United States dollar index. It's a 50-50 move at this particular point. There's no. I can make a case for this market being able to break a counter trend line, break a move to the upside. If there's going to end up being some solid news, I could see something like that. We have a push up to the upside from there. I think the quick and initial move will end up being from 101 to 103 as a way of being able to get out for its buying. The weeklies in the buy zone kind of matches up with what I end up taking a look at off the United States dollar index from this chart as well. You take a look at the weekly. Weeklies basically in the buy zone. We have a U-turn going and happening in that area. Um, but you can also end up making a case to the downside and saying that, hey, that there's further movement down to be able to come. Um, and that would be the movement right there. Let's see. I see a double bottom. The same double bottom that you're seeing is the same consolidation that I'm looking at right here. Yeah, the same double bottom that you're seeing from this daily standpoint, which is right here. It's the same consolidation that I'm seeing on that chart. So I would lean in that case. I would lean to buying if we're going just strictly based off of that. But if I had to put my 5% down on one big trade, it wouldn't be on this one. At least not yet. There's no direction to be able to take. There's no clear direction as of yet. I tell you what though, I don't think the United States dollar index will like to break below 100 because that's the support. Resistance is at 105. Yeah, too early to call off of this one. I think today is gonna be a throwaway day. So with that being said, we'll kind of just keep on moving when it comes down to that standpoint. Um, If you like what I end up doing, please make sure you end up clicking on that boost button. For the people that end up watching us a little bit later on, place in your comments. Let me know what you think inside of the comment section. I appreciate each and every one of y'all being able to take a look at it and give your opinion. Like always, make sure that you end up planning your trade your plan. Hopefully, we can be able to get a little bit more of an idea about what's happening going into tomorrow in FOMC, and then after that, being able to make a move from there. I'll see each and every one of y'all in the next one. Hopefully, this live stream will cut off at the right time. Take it easy.